Yeah. Can you see my mug name thing? Can you see my name?
Can you see my Walmart water?
My name is Maggie, and I like black leopard print.
Oh my God! Can you
it's
see
on, by the way. Bloopers!
Set.
Hey guys! Welcome.
Who's gonna introduce it?
You.
Welcome to the Heart. Today we have Maggie with us, and we're going to get to know her a little bit, guys. So make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get started.
Yes, and make sure that you turn your notifications on too, so you can be notified every time we upload.
Yes, we look forward to seeing you more. Maggie, so you've been at the Father's Heart for about 5 years now,
yes,
huh?
5 years. Yeah.
So it's been a really long time, Maggie. And you've overcome a lot of struggles.
I have.
So why don't you tell us about the biggest struggle that you've actually overcome?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest struggle that I've overcome is an eating disorder. I came to the Father's Heart after a roughly 12-year on and off battle with bulimia. And I had tried a program, a very popular secular program for eating disorders. And it worked until something happened. Because I didn't get rid of the root issues. I didn't get rid of the lies that I was believing about myself. I didn't get rid of the mindset that I had. I absolutely hated myself. And I don't think that mindset really fully changed, probably until like maybe a year ago. But the behavior stopped. I came to the Father's Heart. And for the first 2 months of the program, I continued to purge because I was scared to give it up. It had been a coping skill for so long.
Wow.
And it was how I dealt with literally anything.
Yeah.
If you upset me, if I felt insecure, if I felt mad, if I felt sad, like any type of feeling I didn't want to feel. And so I would do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a huge struggle that you had. You mentioned something about mindsets and belief systems. So let's talk about when your eating disorder started. What were you struggling with in your mind that took you to that kind of behavior?
So I grew up in a abusive home and a very controlling home. And I was in sports at the time, so I was desperate for love. And I learned that if I did things well, I got love. So if I was good, I got love. So I learned what good meant to people. And to some people, good meant good grades. And to some people, good meant good food. And good weight and good body. So I learned that if I did what they wanted, I would get love and I would get affection and appreciation. I was so desperate for love that I did anything. So one of my coaches made a comment, and it wasn't even anything bad. It wasn't like you should lose weight, but it was like, let's increase your times. I was a swimmer. And so I looked at other girls and I said, they seem to be thinner. They seem to have a different build than me, and they're faster. So let me lose some weight. And at home, it was very controlling with good and bad foods and what we were allowed to eat and what we weren't allowed to eat. So I think it just kind of catapulted, and it didn't start with purging. It started with skipping meals.
Yeah.
So I would skip meals at lunch when I was at school because I felt like no one would catch. So I would eat breakfast with my family, and then I would go to school and I wouldn't eat lunch. And then I would come home and I would eat dinner. But then I manipulated that, and I would wake up early so that I would wake up late so that I wouldn't be able to eat breakfast with the family. So I wouldn't eat breakfast, I wouldn't eat lunch, and then I would eat dinner. And then I felt like I wasn't getting the love that I wanted. And I was getting kind of the opposite. I felt like I was getting hate. That's when I started, like, let me kick this into high gear here. And if I could get away with not eating dinner, I would not eat dinner. And if I had to eat dinner, then I would throw up afterwards.
Yeah, so the addiction just increased. I think a lot of people overlook the fact that an eating disorder is an addiction.
Yes, it is.
And we just continue to do things over and over and over again to get a different result. But we do the same thing, so nothing different happens.
Nothing different.
Let's talk about, to try to relate to people who may not have struggled with an eating disorder, the feelings that you had whenever things got really bad. How were you feeling that made you want to get help?
So, my junior year of high school, my mom passed away. And my mom was like my person. She was like she was the one in the house that I felt like loved me the most. So with that gone, it was very apparent. I felt like no one loved me. Everyone hated me. I wasn't worth anything.
Yeah.
So I ran, and to some people it's normal. Like I went out of state to college, but to me it was running, because every college that I wanted to go to originally was close to home, because I wanted to be close to my mom. But then when she passed, I ran to a different school, and I remember seeing all of these girls, and I was swimming at school, and I remember seeing all of these girls and friends, and they were just happy, and they just ate like it was nothing. And I just remember thinking like, how?
Yeah.
And you know, it got so bad that I wasn't even like, I wouldn't even allow myself to keep down water, because I felt like I wasn't even worth hydration. Yeah. That sounds crazy. But I hated myself so much that that's what it got to. So I remember seeing other people and being like, I want to live like that. I just don't know how.
Yeah.
So it was like summer semester. I went and I got help at a residential facility, and it helped. They treated the symptoms.
Yeah.
But the mindset wasn't addressed.
Right.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like your mindset was the fact that you just wanted to be loved, and you did not feel love, and you didn't, and the result was you didn't love yourself.
Yes.
So let's move forward a little bit and talk about where you found this love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what's really interesting to me.
Yeah. So I had when I came to the Father's Heart, I'd been like a fake Christian. In that I, again, was so desperate for love that I found out what you wanted from me, and I would do that for you.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I met pastors, and I was like, okay, they're gonna love me if I go to Bible studies, and if I worship, and if I do this and I do that. And so I did that. So I knew about who Jesus was, but I didn't know Jesus. And coming to the Father's Heart, I remember like the first 2 weeks, I said, you know what, you guys can't help me. I'm out of here. And you know what it was? It wasn't that I didn't think that they could help me. It was that for the first time in my life, I was experiencing love without me having to perform for it. And it felt very uneasy, and I didn't like it, because not only did I need love desperately, but I also like being in control, and a lot of things had to do with control for me too. So I felt like, okay, so these people are loving me, but I'm not controlling the love that I'm getting, and it feels very uncomfortable, and it feels very vulnerable, and I don't like it. But you know what? I looked at the people around me, and I saw, like, again, how they were living. Like, I was intrigued by how people were living. Like, you met Stacy last week. Yeah. I was intrigued by how she was doing life, and how she just seems to have so much joy all the time. And and next week you'll meet Elba, and I was intrigued by her because she's so joyful, and she just loves without conditions. And I just remember thinking, like, there's got to be something else. And it was maybe like a month into the program, I wrote a very honest letter that I wish I had brought, but it basically said, like, God, I don't believe in you. I don't think that you're real, because if you're real, then you did this, and you took my mom, and you let this happen, and this happen, and this happen, and there's no way that you can be real because you allowed all those things to happen. But And I said, but if you are real and people around me think that you are, I need you to show yourself to me because I don't believe you. And I signed it doubtfully, Maggie.
Aww.
And I went to church that night, and I encountered love like I'd never felt in my life. And I remember the next day in my journal, I wrote like, oh my gosh, you are real. And it was like, after I experienced that love, it was like nothing compared. I didn't need to perform for human love anymore because I had this love that was at my disposal, like at my reach every second of the day, whether I was good, whether I was bad, whether I did something that I wasn't supposed to do, whether I was the best person, the worst person, the scum of the earth. Like, it didn't matter because that love never changed.
Yeah. So you had a supernatural experience and love just got poured out on you.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. And what was that, Maggie?
That was Jesus.
Yeah. Amen. Amen, sister. And after that happened, did you purge anymore? Did you?
I did. Okay. I won't lie. It was a hard transition because even though I was finally feeling love, I had gotten so used to doing something to avoid feeling my feelings. And I'm still guilty of that sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes I don't like feeling my feelings and I will stuff or I will distract myself in some way. Yeah. But when you experience the love of Christ, something changes. Yeah. And you can't continue living how you were for very long. And I just remember one day I was literally like hunched over the toilet. And I remember thinking, like, I don't want to live like this anymore. Like, Amen. This is not life. Like, I'm surrounded by people that are living life, and this isn't life. Yeah. This is awful. And it was that day that I said, I don't want to do this anymore. And I literally, like, wiped my face off, came downstairs, and asked to talk to the leaders here and said, I have to tell you, I've been purging for 2 months. That's and amazing. After that, it didn't happen again. No, I mean, there were times that I wanted to, though. I won't lie. There were times that I was like, I'm going to if you don't.
So you're telling me that change is a process?
Change is a process.
Even when you're saved?
Yes.
But God does change the desires of our hearts.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
He gives us that intention to want to change. He wants us to change our lives. So he helps us and gives us the strength to do that. Yeah. I think a lot of people are under the misconception that when you're saved, everything is erased that's bad and wants him to take it away from us. But that's not what happens, right?
No, it's not. You know what? I was one of those people that thought that when I got saved that everything would be rainbows and butterflies and unicorns pooping glitter. But it's not. And it's sometimes it's hard. I mean, you're still living life. You just have hope. And I think that's the key, is that you're not living life on this like rat race that never changes. It's like you have someone, like he's called the Wonderful Counselor, and he's called your advocate, and he's there with you, and you just have to tap into that. Now sometimes that's hard for me still. But it's a process. Like she said, it's not I firmly believe that we'll never be perfect and we'll never have everything figured out until we go to heaven. And until then, it's just a learning process.
Yes, amen. So how long have you been free from purging now?
I've been free a little less than 5 years. I think I actually just hit 5 years in December. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah.
And you did it for how many years?
12 on and off. If you count consecutively, probably like 18.
With numerous failed attempts.
Yes.
And you're telling me that the only way to freedom is through your relationship with Jesus.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Maggie,
You're
for
welcome.
your story and your honesty. It's beautiful. And it's such a blessing that I get to watch your process and be your friend.
That's dear.
And we will be interviewing Elba. Elba. I'm emotional now from this story with Maggie. It touches my heart, but we'll be interviewing Elba next week, so I hope you tune in for that. And make sure you like and subscribe to our videos so we can get our YouTube videos out there. It changes the algorithm. So we appreciate everybody watching and everything that you're doing.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah,
you asked good questions.
Yes.
It was really